Us coaster enthusiasts can be really passionate about our local parks. We know all of the trivia, all of the history. We can pretty much tell you everything about our home parks. But it begs the question, at what point do we become true historians? Well, at California's Great America, that title befalls on Clayton Lawrence, the corporate creative producer for Cedar Fair. Now, one of many perks that we get as ACE members and CoasterCon attendees are these opportunities to attend presentations from, well, a variety of different guests. Sometimes it's park officials, sometimes it's people from the coaster manufacturers, but at CoasterCon 46 last year at California's Great America, we got to hear from none other than Clayton Lawrence himself, who gave us the complete rundown on the history of the park. Of course, California's Great America is approaching 50 years old, so there's a lot to unpack and a lot of hidden secrets in history. So I filmed a chunk of this presentation, not the whole thing unfortunately, but I am very happy to share what I do have, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So without any further ado, let the CGA adventures in history begin.
Starting with the Marriott era. So this, for those of you who don't know how the park originated, in 1976, the Marriott Corporation actually designed two Great Americas and built two Great Americas, one in Santa Clara, where you're at, and one in Gurnee, Illinois. They wanted to, again, celebrate American history and open it up in time 1976 for the nation's bicentennial. With the overarching Americana theme in mind, they created authentic atmosphere via architecture and artifacts and theming the attractions. When the park, let me move on. So this is the original brochure that was mailed to me by a friend who was actually here on opening day. And the park was broken up initially into 6 original themed lands, which were organized in what was referred to as a dual loop, named after Randolph. That runs clockwise around the perimeter. And working at Great America, I want to give him a big hug if I ever got the luxury of meeting him, because he created the park with a center service road, so you can access back of house through the center service corridor that allows us to get from one side of the park to another rather quickly. And so he was very innovative in that thinking. But the park was broken into 6 original themed areas. So you first walked into Carousel Plaza, which has our famed double-decker carousel, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Hometown Square, which is based on the 20th century small towns of the Midwest. And then you moved into the Great Midwest Livestock Exposition, which was later just shortened to County Fair. And then it's early 20th century, that was County Fair. Then they created Yukon Territory, which resembled a logging camp in the Canadian Yukon. They were actually in their tours inspired by the Canadian Yukon, which is ironic given the current general manager of the park. Yankee Harbor was the next area. That was inspired by 19th century New England ports, inspired by Cape Cod. And then finally, Orleans Place, modeled after the French Quarter of New Orleans. This was opening day. Sorry, I see in my note now, it was a pear orchard in Santa Clara. Opening day was on March 20th, 1976. And admission was $7.95 for adults 12 and up, and $6.95 for children. The lands all stayed pretty much the same, but the attractions that came into this era. The King's Parks, because of radio broadcasting and their access to musical performers and Being that there wasn't many concert venues in the Bay Area at the time, the Redwood Amphitheater came into view and had many musical acts throughout the years. Weird Al had a stint. He came every summer for a couple of years. Blue Streak, which is Woodstock Express. It's funny to see GoPros back in the day. It's quite the rig on that coaster. Rip Roaring Rapids, super fun. Skyhawk, this was the one that my brother tricked me and said, no, it doesn't go upside down, and then he flipped the switch and we barrel rolled for like 3 minutes straight. So, of course, Top Gun, which was themed right after the movie, a very popular B&M. It was also one of the originals, renamed to Flight Deck. It's current. AFX Theater, my dad made me wait 4 hours to see the Days of Thunder movie, and then we waited another 2 hours because he wanted to do it again. Nickelodeon Splat City, Nick Central, a huge, big deal for the park. It was a whole land themed to Nickelodeon where you can get slimed, you can be in a stage show like Double Dare and play games to throw a pie at your parents, and super popular, and started to bring in characters such as Rugrats and Dora the Explorer over the years. Drop Zone and Drop Tower came into our lives. Extreme Sky Flyer. We got Vertigo, which it's super fun, and later rehomed to Dorney Park as the Stinger. And then up until this point, we were still a little bit of Hanna-Barbera in the Kidsville area. So that was rebranded and created. Stealth, the world's first flying coaster, made its debut at Great America. Again, another 4-hour wait for Clayton. We brought in Firefall. This was a rehomed gift from Geauga Lake. This was, I believe, the very first top spin, Huss top spin. This model actually was a traveling version of it. So it was originally on a trailer, and if you ever looked at the ride, you can see the foundations were offset because of that. Then to bring back some classics to the park, to fill in some of the areas we're lacking. Liberty Twirler gives that classic theme park feel back to the 50s area, the newly rethemed 50s area. Back in the county fair area, Redwood Rally was really a story-driven reimagination of Barney Oldfields, and that was a lot of fun to work on with the park because we wanted to make sure it told the story of the California coastline, and there's some familiar nods to the region, so very excited about that. And then the introduction of the Zamperla Pacific gliders. Again, we wanted to make sure we had enough family product in the right areas so that the thrill seekers and then the pint-sized thrill seekers could all enjoy the new NorCal County Fair.
What is it as a vice president of a park here at California Street America? What do you do?
Well, I would say the first thing that I would have to say is since the pandemic, with the concept of people working from home, you can't run a theme park from home. It doesn't work. You really have to be here. So I would say that the first thing is you're pretty much here. I know some of you have been doing tours with my team. So I've got a team that several of them have been here as long as you have. So they were in at 6 to make sure things were being done, and we're all here at 11 o'clock at night, right, Bill? In order to make sure everything's running, and that's sort of what the day is like. It depends on what ride decides to break and what our guests ask for, but we're all out there with the crowds. I enjoy it very much because it's a different day every day. Well, I think you all probably, those of you that are watching the news, know that there was a press release this morning So if you go on to the Cedar Fair website, you can see that we believe that the merger with Six Flags will happen on July 1st. That was announced, so I'm not going to go into any of that because I'm not privy to a lot of that, but if you go online right now, you will see a couple of press releases that came out today, so that will give you some idea. I would say our lives are going to be very exciting for the next 5 years as we develop. Very happy to say that our stock will still be traded under FUN, because that's who we are, and that it'll also show you who's going to be operating the park, which is the team that I grew up with, so that's pretty exciting. I would say until that goes through, I don't know if I can answer that.
All right, understood completely. Didn't even know about the press release, so thanks for letting me know. I gotta read that. And I would just say, let's close us out just by saying to all of us enthusiasts here and people who love California's Great America, what do you want to say to them? What do you want them to know?
I think there's a thank you involved to all of our fans and those people that are as excited about these sorts of properties. This business is mature now, so it's pretty exciting to watch where it started. I love talking to Clayton because he's a generation behind me, and we've had a lot of opportunities to work together. So it's really important that the fans support us as we go on in time. So thank you very much for being who you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we give them a warm thank you?
All right, and that's all for me. I believe this entire conversation was recorded though, so if you want to hear it in an audio format in full, check out the Ace Ride With Us podcast. I believe it's the June 20th episode, and you can listen to that entire conversation. And that's a wrap on the California's Great America leg of my California adventures. Now, I do have some off-ride POVs and on-ride POVs of a few things that I want to share before we move on, but after that, we'll continue with more CoasterCon fun from Six Flags Discovery Kingdom and Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. And of course, there's a bunch of awesome parks on the horizon after that. So if you don't want to miss any of that, or any of my other adventures from theme parks, attractions, and beyond, you definitely want to become a subscriber. And be sure to hit the notification icon as well. That way you won't miss any of my future videos. You can also find me on social media. I'm at AWParker on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, and at Adventures with Parker on TikTok and Facebook. As always, big shout out to my Patreon members for always going above and beyond in supporting this channel. I appreciate you all so much, and if you want to learn more about how you can support the channel with a monthly donation in exchange for some sweet perks and bonus content, you can head on over to patreon.com/AWParker to learn more. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, the adventures are calling. Bye!